Unit 8 Property Rights for Foreigners. Foreign investors have essentially the right to own or rent immovable property, in accordance with national law and regulations. According to the 4th edition of the OECD benchmark definition of foreign direct investment is a category of investment that reflects the objective of establishing a long-lasting interest by a resident enterprise in one economy. Direct investor, in an enterprise, direct investment enterprise, that is resident in an economy other than that of the direct investor, OECD, 2008. This long-term interest implies the existence of a lasting relationship between the direct investor and the direct investment enterprise property, and thus it is important for the rights of foreign investors to be clearly defined and outlined. Cyprus property rights for foreigners. Procedure, documentation needed and where to apply. Non-EU citizens are entitled to freehold ownership of properties. Offshore entities may buy premises for their business or as a residence for their foreign employees. Permission to buy property must be sought from the Council of Ministers by written application, submitted by the non-EU purchaser after the agreement is signed. This permission is granted to all bona fide purchasers. In the meantime, however, purchasers may take possession of their property without restriction. The application to the Council of Ministers to acquire immovable property in Cyprus can be made within a reasonable amount of time after signing the contract of sale. European Union citizens who are permanent citizens in Cyprus do not require permission to buy any immovable property. European Union citizens who are not resident in Cyprus also need the approval of the Council of Ministers. European Union citizens with permanent or temporary permits can register as many properties as they wish in their name, provided they have signed a confirmation with the government of Cyprus that they will stay in the country for the following 5 years. Legal entities established in European Union countries that have their headquarters and registered office in Cyprus are not required to have a permission to buy any immovable property. Legal entities established in Cyprus and controlled by citizens of the European Union are required to have a permission to buy movable property in Cyprus, as well as any other legal entities. Conditions for non-Cypriots. The process of purchasing properties in Cyprus is simple, especially when compared to other countries. Especially European Union nationals and companies established in any European Union country are not restricted when buying property in the Republic of Cyprus. However, there are some notable restrictions on the foreign ownership of real estate by non-EU residents. Legal procedures and requirements for acquiring and disposing of real property in Cyprus are complex, but professional help from real estate agents and consultants can provide sufficient help to meet government requirements. There is currently an increasing interest in foreign investments in the real estate market of Cyprus. This is unquestionably aided by the government's policies aiming to attract foreign investors, such as the scheme for naturalization of investors in Cyprus by exception. Read further about the scheme below. Constitution of Cyprus, Part 2 of the Constitution of Cyprus, Fundamental Rights and Liberties, Article 6-35, establishes equality amongst all persons, irrespective of their nationality, and safeguards fundamental rights to the same extent as such rights are protected under the European Convention of Human Rights. Both foreign and national investors are offered continuous protection and security in Cyprus and enjoy the same rights and civil liberties, the main aspect of which is the right to access to justice. The right of ownership of property is considered as one of the fundamental rights under the Constitution of Cyprus, and as such, it is clearly and absolutely protected by Article 23 of the Constitution. Antonio and Demetridi, 2014. International investment protection rules. At an European Union level, a comprehensive European Union investment policy is implemented, allowing the European Union to negotiate investment protection agreements itself. Article 207(1) of the TFEU explicitly mentions foreign direct investment as forming part of the common commercial policy, while the TFEU itself establishes the European Union's exclusive competence on foreign direct investment. International investment law aims to protect the owner of tangible or intangible assets who transfers them from one country to another to generate wealth from their use in that country. The safeguards relating to the protection for foreign investment and proprietary rights afforded by international investment law comprise the requirement of non-discrimination, the prohibition of confiscatory taxation, the standard treatment of foreign investors, and the doctrine of abuse of rights. Cyprus, a renowned international business center, is a signatory to a significant number of the major international conventions and treaties and has incorporated a plethora of acknowledged concepts and practices of international investment rules into its national legal order. Antonio and Demetridi, 2014. Important issues. Political situation. It is very important to be aware of the political situation of the island. Purchasing property in the North area, administered by Turkish Cypriots, is a contentious issue in Cyprus. Read the following warning posted on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs website. Click here. Cypriot Citizenship Scheme for Naturalization of Investors. Grant of the Cypriot citizenship to non-Cypriot entrepreneurs investors through the Scheme for Naturalization of Investors in Cyprus by exception. As a part of its policies aiming to attract foreign investors in Cyprus, the Council of Ministers, on the 19th of March 2014, revised the Scheme for Naturalization of Non-Cypriot Investors by exception and, thus, established the new financial criteria based on which non-Cypriot entrepreneurs investors may acquire the Cypriot citizenship. Here you can find the Scheme for Naturalization of Non-Cypriot Investors by exception in Greek and English. Immigration permits. The Ministry of the Interior released a revised fast-track procedure for granting an immigration permit to third country nationals that intend to take up permanent residency in Cyprus, provided that they fulfill specific criteria. The application form must be accompanied by a titled deed or a contract of sale that has previously been submitted to the Department of Land and Surveys for the acquisition of a house, apartment or any other building situated in Cyprus, of a minimum market value of €300,000 plus VAT. Furthermore, the applicant must submit proof of payment, at least €100,000 plus VAT, in respect of the property as mentioned earlier. KPMG Cyprus, 2017. Issues most frequently raised by foreign investors related to the real estate market and their rights include mortgage liability. Lawyers and consultants also acting for vendors or builders, therefore not independent. Building taking place without the correct planning permissions, building permits, for example electricity or water. Fluctuations in currency and interest rates affecting mortgages. Payment plans, fees not being included in the initial contract. Difficulty in obtaining certificates of final completion, without which deeds cannot be issued. Difficulty in obtaining title deeds. Difficulty in obtaining redress after problems are identified. Tips for buying real estate property in Europe and protecting the relevant rights for foreign investors. 1. First, check the national property rights for foreigners. Investors in real estate or their advisors are encouraged to first check thoroughly the property rights of the country they are interested in investing and then make informed decisions based on credible information. 2. Check for licensed and regulated advisors. Always check that your advisor's estate agents are licensed and regulated. More specifically, you can check whether they are members of relevant federations, bodies, registered and in compliance with the relevant national law. 3. Consider all risks and be alert. There are several risks for foreigners buying property abroad. You should be alert to the possible risks involved and seek support and guidance from specialists, FDI advisors, real estate agents, lawyers etc., along your way.